Welcome back to the Rufus Makes channel, where I paint shoes and talk about various philosophical ideas. Today I'll be painting some snowboard boots and talking about how money blinds us. So let's get into it. I'll start off with a little story. In 2013, me and my family moved to a new town, and it was a much better place than the last, but in comparison to our neighbors, friends, and the general public, we were pretty poor. And this sort of environment led to a lot of resentment and envy, even a subconscious disdain for those around me. It was easy for me to dislike the well-off just because they had more than us, and that's a pretty shallow view. This is a great evil that money can concoct. It effectively makes you blind to what you do have. Here's just some guesswork on where my family stands financially in town. We're poor in comparison. But if I was to take this same comparison just with the whole globe, then I'd quickly realize how lucky I am. I have more opportunities than most people will ever get. And that's what money can do. It keeps you in your small bubble of resentment, where all you can see is what other people who live in your immediate vicinity have, therefore blinding you to a great slew of opportunities you've been given. As I briefly mentioned at the beginning, money can blind you to people's character as well. It led me to resent the wealthy, making them all into one character. I basically saw all of them as the spoiled rich kid who got all their wealth from their parents. But people's situations and stories are usually not that unnuanced. For example, as a big football fan, I love the stories of the kid who grew up with nothing, but in spite of the fact, worked and trained every day in hopes of getting drafted to the NFL. And then, he does get drafted. The kid who grew up dirt poor is now a millionaire. A truly timeless story of rags to riches. So how can I be blind to that backstory? Instead, skip to the end, where he's rich. And since he's rich, I automatically have to resent him. That can't possibly make sense unless you just missed the first part of the story. Wealth to me in the past has been a great way to strip any nuance out of somebody's story, making them into this evil caricature of wealth and greed. Maybe if you care about money so much, it's better to judge somebody not on the fact they have wealth in general, but what it is they use that wealth for. Rich people can be good people or bad people. The same is true of middle class and poor people. This proclamation is nothing revolutionary, a bland statement I probably would have always agreed with at face value. But even then, I would go against it subconsciously anytime I would judge the character of the well-off, simply just because they were wealthy. And just to be abundantly clear, I'm not saying all this to come across as overly fond of rich people. I'm not. Terrible people who also just happen to be rich have way more ability to do horrible things, so I'm always extra skeptical of a rich man's character. But most of my life I've had that skepticism for the wealthy, and as I've stated, it hasn't at all times been completely objective or honest. I think it's important to check your biases, and as in this case, if they don't make sense or hold up, get rid of them. Easier said than done, I guess. But the best start is acknowledgement, and with that sufficiently out of the way, I can dismantle this dumb bias I hold. I think for me, the easiest way to cure money blindness is to not tie so much self-worth into money. If I care less about money as a whole, I'll care less if people have more of it than I do. The way I see it, money is a tool, something I can use to stay alive in the most obvious application, but also as a means to help others, and to experience more of what the world has to offer. To use it as a means with which to judge one's morals doesn't seem intuitive to me anymore. I really don't need an abundance of wealth. I wouldn't mind a quiet life, working a job I loved. I wouldn't need all the money in the world to find the joy in that either. On my deathbed, I doubt I'll be worried about how much wealth I accrued. In fact, if all I did in this life is hoard money, then I'll go to my death with regret and sadness, I'm sure, having missed out on amazing memories with friends and family, the wonders of travel, time spent mastering different hobbies and interests. I hope some of you gained something out of this. Maybe you hear this and are confused that it took me this long to realize these things. Maybe some of you find yourself in this mindset or have been in the past. In any case, I'm thankful you took time out of your day to watch this video. Yeah, this was a fun pair of boots to paint. I mean, the whole process involved using some acetone at the start to prepare the boots for painting, and then I actually just covered it all in black paint. It took a couple hours, took a lot of my paint, and then I drew in these biblical angels I just think it looks interesting. So I'm gonna rock these on the slopes tomorrow, and I won't be surprised at all if all the paint washes off immediately, even though I put a finisher on it. I really don't know if it's gonna hold up even a little bit, but maybe they'll get like super runny and they'll look cool in that sense too, and then they'll be even more abominable. A lot of fun painting it though, and maybe that's all that matters. If you think they look cool, let me know. I do think they look cool. I'm looking forward to painting more shoes in the future. I think I'm getting better, for sure. Like if you go back and watch my first few videos, I think I'm getting a lot better, and that's a fun feeling. It's good to get into something and see improvement, and that's a good reason to post videos about it, because then you can, it's like a time capsule. You can go back and see how far you've come, and yeah, it's just a good show of progress. Good show that I like the feeling of starting something new and then getting better at it gradually. And I know sometimes the first few tries at it can be really daunting, but then like once it starts to click, that's my favorite feeling, and that's I think why I like to get into so many different things. Is just I love the feeling of mastery at something, which I'm not at in painting, but that's what I guess I'm striving for. Maybe a professional painter would say, "Oh, you've never really mastered it," but you know, at least gotten to be pretty good at it. That's what I'm aiming for. But right now I'm just enjoying the journey of it all, and I think that's a good place to be at. You know, I love this because it's kind of a classic question whenever you meet somebody. It's like, oh, what do you do? Like, what do you do for fun? Like, what's your favorite hobby? And I just had so many to choose from, but whenever I would say one, it's like, but is that really me? Like, is that really what I like to do most? And I never really felt that way about any of these, I guess, sub hobbies I had. But this, if somebody asked me, well, what do you do for fun? Like, what's your main thing? I'd say, oh, I paint shoes and make YouTube videos. I guess you could, I would say the both, because they coincide, because I like every aspect of this is what I like to do the most right now. And that would feel like a genuine response to that question, which I haven't always had. And so I think this is really cool and a great thing for me. If you found this video enjoyable painting wise or discussion wise, consider subscribing. I try to release a video every week, but I've been super busy this month, so this is only the second video I've posted so far. But I'm trying to be consistent again. If you have any ideas for either painting or topics of discussion, let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching and supporting the Rufus Makes channel. I'll see y'all in the next one.